Now, I'm hoping that something gets done about this because I'm actually highly upset about this. As you can see from the title, that is looking like Premier Boxing Champions time on Spike TV is over. And Spike TV was putting on some good Premier Boxing Champions fights. Now, of course, it wasn't A-side versus A-side matchups. Okay, let me read the article. This is from Dan Rayfield. It was just released. I was actually on my way back from the Chinese store. I had to pick up my beef and Barclay. And I was, just reading as I was walking, and I came across this story. So it says, Spike TV's commitment to Premier Boxing Champions is over. Launched on the basic cable network with much fanfare in March of 2015 with the promise of at least 33 monthly cards. 9 in 2015, 12 apiece in 2016, and 2017. It lasted for only 17. So basically, they completed just a little over half of the cards that they promised to us. Spike and PBC had a 2-year agreement and had negotiated a network option for a 3rd year, but it never made it to final paperwork. Network spokesman David Schwartz told ESPN on Wednesday, today, the final card aired in January. Spike has positioned PBC as one of its Friday night combat sports cornerstones, along with Bellator MMA and Glory Kickboxing. Schwartz said the reason Spike did not seek to continue its commitment to BBC was twofold: a general dissatisfaction with the quality of cards being provided by PBC founder Al Heyman, as well as the decision to more heavily support Bellator MMA. Viacom, Spike's parent company, owns Bellator. Spike was also the only non-premium network paying rights fees to PBC for its shows it was putting on, usually a low 6-figure amount to help supplement the 7-figure cost of the cards. PBC had time-buy arrangements with other non-premium cable partners, including NBC, ESPN, and Fox. Spike aired a PBC fight a few months back in January. We have a great relationship and running dialogue with Al and the PBC, Schwartz told ESPN. Our focus is on Bellator right now, but if the right fight arises, we are all ears. Schwartz said that this was just not the terms. Schwartz said that was not just in the terms of PBC fights. He said that the network was willing to listen to pitches from boxing events from any promoter with a quality fight to offer. We're in discussions with Spike about the future, but nothing firm yet, spokesperson for PBC Tim Smith told ESPN. The PBC series debuted on Spike in March 2015 with a card featuring former 2-time welterweight titleist Andre Berto knocking out Jose Zito Lopez in a 6th round in an exciting fight. PBC went on to feature several notable fighters, including Adrian Broner, Danny Jacobs, remember they had Sean Porter too. But the Spike cards were uneven in terms of quality. For every Amir Khan-Chris Algieri match featuring big names or action-packed fight of the year contender, such as Krzysztof Glowacki dethroning longtime cruiser titleist Marco Huck and lightweight titleist Robert Easter versus Richard Comey, there were blatant mismatches. For example, light heavyweight champion Adonis Stevenson 3rd round knockout of Tommy Carpenti, Danny Garcia's 7th round destruction of Samuel Vargas, Erislandy Lara's 4th round blowout of Yuri Foreman. Lara versus Yuri Foreman was the main event of Spike's final PBC card, January the 13th. Wow. So that goes to show that it's like this. The way I get from it is like this. They had a 2-year deal with Spike. They wanted a 3rd year. They promised 33 fights to Spike within those 2 years. They gave us 17. So looking at what they were saying about the mismatches and looking at the fact that their last fight, PBC's last fight, was Yuri Foreman and Erislandy Lara, can you really be mad at CBS or, Viacom, or Spike TV by saying, like, listen, y'all got to give us some better fights. But at the same time, look at the money that's there. Look from the business side. They're getting money, right? They're getting rights fees to help put on these cards on Spike TV. PBC has to pay the rest. To get A-side versus A-side matchups when you have Al Heyman, who has been notoriously known in many media circles, as they say, to overpay his fighters, to where these fighters are not going to take pay cuts, and that's why a lot of fighters are on the shelf. For example, I just finished a media call with Andre Berto and Sean Porter just about 2 hours ago, where they were talking about, you know, basically the reason why they was on layoffs is you got to talk to the managers and promoters. Al Heyman has too many fighters and now not enough networks. So with Spike TV now saying, listen, our deal with you is over. So you can put fights on Spike TV, you know, but we gotta agree to the fights. But also, we're going to open our ears to other promoters like Golden Boy and Top Rank. If they want to put fights on here, then they can put fights on here too. So you have to factor in that they also said, you know, in this brief article that Viacom, who owns Spike TV, owns Bellator, and they want to put more focus on the Bellator. And I can understand that when Bellator is doing better ratings than Spike TV, and Bellator is actually putting on, you know, as far as Bellator can do, A-side versus A-side matchups. Where, like they said, you know, when you're getting, you know, Danny Garcia versus Samuel Vargas, it's a showcase fight. When you're getting Arizona Lara versus Yuri Foreman, it's a showcase fight. But at the same time, I thought that what Spike is like a showcase fight type network. But apparently they want big name fights on that network. So it's kind of a confusing situation. But now it's going to add more fuel to the flame and say PBC is going out of business. PBC is not going out of business. They will never go out of business as long as Al Heyman has the fighters. However, they have lost a shitload of money. And a lot of other media members, you know, or more so, it's truth be told, there's only a few of them. I've been on a crusade against these motherfuckers for like a year and a half, 2 years now. You already know who they is. They'll bend the truth and tell you, oh, PBC is fine. PBC wasn't losing no money. They've all been proven wrong at this point in time. So, for example, right, when you see a fight on Showtime, when you see a fight on CBS, right, free TV CBS, it's in association with Showtime because Showtime is helping PBC pay for the rights for those fights. If you see a fight on NBC, those fights come directly out of PBC's pocket and they lose money on those fights. When it comes to Fox, from my understanding, Fox is paying rights fees, you know, for those fights. But you got to understand that there's only but so much money there. So if you have a Deontay Wilder making $1.2 to $1.5 million fighting on Fox, then his opponent can't make that much money because it's just not enough money there. So, you know, it's a complex situation. And, you know, I really wanted to see, you know, like Spike again. And I knew something was up because they were supposed to have a card this month, and they're not. So now the networks that are left for PBC is you can count CBS. We don't know what's going on with NBC because the press release they put out, they saying that they're not going to be back on NBC until September. They had not one NBC card this year. Not NBC Sports, not nothing. They still got Fox Sports 1, but that's for, the budget is not there for Fox Sports 1. That's definitely to build up younger fighters. The budget's not there. You know, we don't know what's going on with ESPN yet, even though we do know that Golden Boy is on ESPN, but Golden Boy is on ESPN too, not regular ESPN. So it's a confusing situation, but it's kind of safe to say, you know, that PBC may be going from there too. So you've been seeing that a lot of Heyman fighters have been, or more so certain high quality Heyman fighters, outside of Dominic Wade, of course. It all depends on how you look at it. I don't feel like getting into the real details, but Heyman fighters are now fighting on HBO with no problems. On pay-per-view with no problems because he has all these fighters and they need to fight. You know, I do admit that, you know, I am a big Al Heyman fan. But however, you can see that he was on some bullshit. You know, when he got all those fighters and he got all those networks, you can just see from the outside looking in that he may have gotten too cocky and he was literally trying to put other boxing promoters and everything out of business. Now it's not looking too good for him. You know, if he had the mentality and he was doing what he's doing now when he first started PBC by putting on A-side match, I'm not saying all fights have to be A-side, but when he first started PBC, all the fights were showcase fights, nearly all of them. You know, but then we'll get a Lamont Peterson and a Danny Garcia, but you'll have one of those fights and you'll have like 10 showcase fights or some shit like that. Remember when PBC first started in 2015? They were active. We were getting fights every week, midday cards, NBC, CBS. You know, we're getting fights everywhere. Now look at it. You know? So it's looking like they're not going to get another deal done. And also, if they do get another deal done, I mean, literally, it's looking like they're not going to get another deal done. And if they do get another deal done, it won't be exclusive. You know? And also, how many fights are they going to be able to put on? And you got to think, Spike TV has to be pissed off because they're looking at other situations and saying, well, listen, you said you're going to put these many free fights on NBC. You didn't do it for them. You told us you was going to give us 33 fights. You only gave us 17. You told CBS you was going to give them these fights, but now you're working with Showtime to make sure you pay for this shit. So you got to look at how these network executives are looking at it. And also, they know that, well, what about that investor money? You know, Al, you know, give us some better fights. Sad situation, but it's looking like PBC on Spike is done. And a lot of fans, we really like the fights. You know, we got some good fights on there, you know. So, it is what it is. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe. I'll link to my social media right down below in the description box.